Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at what normal spell, the normal, in quotation marks, normal Crimson Demons actually like and favor the most. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. The Crimson Demons are pretty much the best casters in the world of Konosuba. Sure, there are other exceptionally powerful casters, like Liches, and this herself, of course, is an outstanding caster in both life and undeath. And in the battle against the Destroyer, it was seen that she was stronger in terms of explosion magic than even Megumin. And this also had been described in great length in the light novels, where Megumin merely shattered the spider-like legs of the Destroyer into pieces, while the legs on the other side, which were hit by Viz's own explosion magic, were simply pulverized. But Megumin at that time was still at a very low level, and Liches are known for their enormous sorcerous strength and large mana reserves. And yes, Megumin will of course keep getting stronger and stronger during the other 12 novels. And Volume 6 and Volume 7 of Konosuba, which will be animated in the third season, will be a very great step forward in terms of all kinds of things for Megumin. But the whole point I am trying to make is that the Crimson Demons are on average the best casters, and as such, they all have a very special preference for a very special spell, which is likely the best and strongest spell in overall performance in all of Konosuba, Light of Saber. This advanced magic is the first spell that pretty much every single Crimson Demon will learn in their life. And if you want to know more about the education and the learning process itself, feel free to check out my video about the Crimson Demons. It's linked down in the video description. That is, when I think about it. And Light of Saber is not only a reference to the lightsaber from Star Wars, but also of course to Saber from pretty much every Fate story that has ever existed. And fun fact, Fate actually started out as a dating simulator. Jokes and insiders aside, Light of Saber is not just a funny reference to other franchises, but probably the best of the advanced spells that exists. Now I know what you're thinking, and yes, explosion magic may be the most famous and most powerful spell in terms of damage output, which I have mentioned in another video, but it has many disadvantages. It requires a huge amount of skill points to learn, it consumes immense amounts of mana, causing Megumin to regularly collapse when she has casted her spell, and even Viz had almost no mana left after using it. It's also useless in caves, buildings, cities and dungeons, and destroys any loot that monsters would drop. On the other hand, Light of Saber has an excellent mana to damage ratio, and the damage can be fine-tuned and adjusted by the mana input. According to Megumin, with enough mana, this spell can even penetrate pretty much any defense, and can break through the Devil King's own barrier. Although it was already very weakened at that point that Megumin made this statement. Nonetheless, even Aqua, spoiler alert, only manages to punch a slight hole into the barrier. But nevertheless, even this alone should illustrate how powerful and capable Light of Saber is, and what an enormous amount of damage output Light of Saber can achieve. But even in everyday life, the spell is simply awesome. Whether it's about eliminating huge toads, or wanting to destroy entire hordes of demons from a relatively short distance, Light of Saber is practically the answer to every situation, to every combat scenario, whatever opponent is attacking you. And you could also see very nicely in the Konosuba movie, Legend of Crimson, how Light of Saber can also be swung like an actual lightsaber, like an actual sword, and how really every single Crimson Demon masters and uses this spell first. Kazuma even complained about what happened to all of the cool lines and the ice and the darkness. That was first announced and then discarded by all 4 of the Crimson Demons to simply cast Light of Saber instead. And also in the Konosuba prequels, yes, there's a Konosuba prequel that takes place in the Crimson Demon Village, and it's just awesome. The adult Crimson Demons used the spell as an opener to battle against the gargoyles. And of course nobody collapsed afterwards or couldn't use any more advanced magic. On the contrary, you could comfortably teleport to the opponent beforehand, cast the spell, teleport back to the village, cast more spells, and then return to the front, without fainting or becoming immobile. And even Yunyun made quite an impression with Light of Saber when she saved Kazuma, Megumin and Aqua from the giant toads. And she was able to use Light of Saber so precisely that nobody in the group was harmed. Although it must be mentioned here that at least in the novels, she also used other spells like Energy Ignition, which basically charges the toads with energy so that they explode on a cellular and molecular level. However, a spell like Explosion, just for comparison, would have caused significant collateral damage here, and would have eliminated a few team members and problems for Kazuma. And unlike Explosion, the spell that is an overkill for all possible and frankly impossible enemies, Light of Saber can be fine-tuned to the enemy before you, costs only 30 skill points to learn, the same as any other normal advanced spell. It can be fired at enemies in close quarters and from a short distance and from a long distance without harming oneself. It can be used in cities, caves and castles because everything around you is not engulfed and disintegrated into a hot fireball. And thus, the loot from defeated enemies is also preserved alongside much of their body. So in case of the giant toads, it could be brought back to the city and then be fried. And the spell alone is versatile enough so that Yunyun, through it alone, practically was her own adventure team, a one-woman army if you will, and had no money worries. And of course, since the power output of the spell is directly proportional to the mana you put in, you could also fine-tune the spell to act like a almost normal spell, like intermediate or even beginner's magic, in order to not overkill your enemies and save your precious mana. And it also must be mentioned that Yunyun moved to the town of Axel in the winter, which sounds unspectacular to us at first until you realize that winter is a time when only reincarnated people with sheet items venture regularly out into the wider world. Well, the Crimson Demons themselves were also created by a sheet item in the widest of senses, and they stood until Aqua officially recognized them outside of the Divine Order, something that the movie Legend of Crimson also left out. But that's a topic for another video. And with that said, now it's your turn. What are your thoughts about Light of Saber and the quote-unquote normal Crimson Demons? Let me know it down in the comment section. And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching and special thanks to Ada Daddy Ada, ASK, Bad Guy, Bad Burrito 316, Biza, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Moreno, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazor, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh hell no, Normal Toad, Oak-Hill, Overlord General Gasper, Patty Pantom, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Cune Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenukai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.